At exactly 3:18 in the morning on October 3, 2025, a massive Chinese logistics convoy completed its journey across the dark steppe roads of southern Ukraine, reaching a heavily fortified supply depot near the Dnipro River, on the outskirts of Kherson. The night air was still, dense with fog and diesel fumes, as more than 50 heavy transport trucks rolled through the final checkpoint, engines rumbling like a mechanical heartbeat. Their cargo was staggering: over 4.5 million pounds of ammunition, rockets, artillery shells, and aviation fuel. The operation had been planned with clockwork precision. Every vehicle had a designated slot, every movement rehearsed down to the minute. Protecting this convoy was not a token security presence, but a hardened formation of Chinese and proxy units. Armored ZBL-09 infantry fighting vehicles flanked the column, while a layered air defense net of HQ-17 missile batteries and Type 95 anti-aircraft guns formed a dome over the area. The depot's floodlights blinked to life as the first trucks arrived, illuminating rows of reinforced concrete bunkers and underground storage silos. The men on site moved with mechanical efficiency, reversing the massive trucks into loading bays, securing cargo, and relaying status reports over encrypted channels. Explosions cascaded from one storage area to another as fire raced along fuel lines and diesel-soaked ground. The smell of burning propellant and scorched steel filled the air. Panicked Chinese escorts opened fire wildly into the darkness with machine guns, tracer rounds arcing across the sky. But the drones were too small, too fast, and too low to hit. Meanwhile, along the perimeter, the second Ukrainian element came to life. Hidden in shallow trenches and camouflaged under netting, Retel-S autonomous ground robots rolled silently toward the depot. Their thermal sensors locked onto machine gun nests and a mobile radar truck concealed under camouflage netting. The data they gathered was instantly relayed to Ukrainian artillery batteries dozens of kilometers away. Within moments, precision-guided shells began to fall. The earlier air defense deception had frozen Chinese units in place, and now they were perfect targets. The first artillery rounds struck with devastating accuracy, wiping out entire anti-air teams and secondary ammunition depots. By 3:39 a.m., the depot was an inferno. Fires raged unchecked, secondary explosions lit the horizon, and the ground shook under the force of detonating munitions. The next wave of Ukrainian systems entered the battlefield, a formation of low-flying heavy-lift drones carrying an even deadlier payload. As they neared the outer perimeter, each drone released a compact autonomous robot known as the mongoose. Roughly the size of a backpack, each mongoose descended under a micro-parachute, landing softly in the tall grass less than 300 yards from the Chinese armored staging area. Using six-wheel drive and passive infrared navigation, they began their silent crawl toward the waiting tanks, the formidable Type 99A main battle tanks, pride of China's armored divisions. Each one weighed 55 tons, protected by over 700 millimeters of advanced composite armor. But even the strongest steel had a weakness. The mongooses found it. They slipped beneath the vehicles, unseen and unheard amid the chaos. Using powerful magnetic clamps, they attached themselves to the undersides of the tanks, directly above the engine compartments. Each robot carried a shaped charge designed to detonate only when the engine started. By 3:46 a.m., at least 8 Type 99A tanks had been compromised. Their crews, unaware of the danger, remained focused on the firestorm consuming the depot. The moment they tried to reposition their machines, the charges would activate, rendering the vehicles useless. The mongooses transmitted their success codes back to command before going silent. Special Forces infiltration. At 3:52 a.m., as the depot burned uncontrollably, a 6-man Ukrainian Special Forces unit began their infiltration. Riding sound-dampened all-terrain vehicles, they advanced swiftly across a dry canal roughly 2 miles from the target. The night was lit only by the glow of distant fires and the rhythmic flashes of anti-aircraft guns. Through night vision goggles, every shadow, every movement was visible. The team moved like phantoms, dismounting at the edge of the outer guard perimeter. Each Chinese post was manned by 2 soldiers armed with QBZ-95 assault rifles. The first pair of guards never saw their attackers. 2 commandos crept up, MP5 SD submachine guns fitted with suppressors, and neutralized the sentries with silent precision. The team pressed forward, eliminating 2 more posts before splitting up. 2 operators moved toward a small auxiliary fuel yard on the depot's southern edge, where nearly 40,000 gallons of diesel were stored in metal drums. They worked quickly, attaching thermobaric charges to the stacks, setting the timers to coincide with the main strike sequence. The last 2 men cut through the perimeter fence with thermal blades and slipped into the communications sector, planting a shaped charge beneath a relay truck, the heart of the Chinese command and control link. Once detonated, it would sever communications between local units and higher command, plunging the defenders into confusion. By 4:05 a.m., the Special Forces team had dismantled 3 guard posts, set multiple charges, and prepared their escape routes. All of this unfolded under the cover of drone strikes still hammering the depot and the surrounding roads. Then, at precisely 4:12 a.m., the final act of the operation began. The ground trembled as the distant roar of engines filled the night. From the west, a Ukrainian armored spearhead surged forward. Leopard 2, a 6 main battle tanks leading the charge, supported by infantry fighting vehicles and mechanized units. Their approach had been masked by electronic jamming and the ongoing aerial assault. The battlefield, already engulfed in fire and smoke, erupted anew as the Leopards opened fire, their 120mm guns sending armor-piercing rounds through the shattered perimeter. Chinese defensive lines, blinded and disoriented, faltered under the sudden armored onslaught. Within minutes, the depot's last coherent defenses collapsed, leaving behind only a landscape of twisted metal burning fuel and shattered machinery. The coordinated Ukrainian strike, a masterpiece of deception, precision, and timing, had turned what was meant to be the logistical heart of a southern offensive into a smoldering graveyard of steel. By dawn, Kherson's horizon was painted in hues of orange and ash. The once secret Chinese supply hub was gone, erased in less than an hour by a fusion of drones, robots, and human ingenuity. And for the first time in months, the southern front was silent.